Hello, people from around the universe! I am your host, the Italian Ace. And do you remember when I said this in the last video? And actually, I'm gonna make a separate video covering just what I think is going on with all these leaks, because I believe there's more than meets the eye to all of this. Well, I am here to deliver. Yes, I want to go over my thoughts on every single leak and rumor that we've been getting for Scarlet and Violet that has basically been confirmed to be true in one way or another. But more than going over what I think of those leaks, as I've already done that in previous videos, I want to talk about what I think is going on here, because something is not quite right. Or maybe it is too right. So let's get into what exactly I mean when I say that there might be more than meets the eye to all of these leaks. Now, just so we're all on the same page, I'm going to be restricting this to two categories of leaks, or really I should say two leakers, those being the Riddler, who we all know by now I think, and the leaker that gave us all of these leaked images and tweets and everything that we have everywhere on the internet by now. Anyway, before we get started, I should say this is all speculation, but I also think there might be something to this. I really do. And I think it's going to be a fun video anyway, so I hope you're excited. But of course, before we get into any of that, cue my intro. Okay, so let's start this off much like you would an essay, that being with the thesis, which in this case is, I think these leaks that we've been getting, whether they be from the Riddler hinting at something, or these new leaks that actually just show us images from the games and tell us straight up what's going to be coming, are actually all originating from Game Freak itself. And I don't mean that these people somehow got their hands on some early footage or ideas or whatever for Scarlet and Violet. No. What I'm saying is that Game Freak, that's right, Game Freak, is the one that's telling them to go and leak all of this information online. And I have a couple of reasons for believing that. But first, let's examine the difference between these leaks and the ones that we've been getting in the past. So when we talk about the leaks that we were getting prior to Legends Arceus, let's say, I think that's a pretty good cutoff point. Your mind probably goes to much the same place that mine does, which is rumors and leaks that were never really confirmed, at least for the most part, and it was always kind of a toss-up as to whether or not they were real. I mean, even looking back at some of the ones that did turn out to be real, like the leaks for the Gen 7 starters, people didn't know that they were real at the time. It was heavily speculated, and they definitely looked like they were real, because they were, but it wasn't something like what we have right now, where the Riddler is basically confirmed to have this kind of inside knowledge, and this other leaker also is basically along the same lines, because these leaks are just not only too convincing, but basically impossible to have all come from the same source without them being real. And actually, I think you could make this the first reason as to why I think that Game Freak is behind all of these newer leaks. Because they're just too different from what we were getting in the past. And especially the ones from the Riddler. Like, really think about it for a second. This hinting at new stuff in the game just gets people talking about the games more, right? Like, it generates more hype for the game, and it gets them to maybe be more just trending in general. You know, like, people are gonna talk about them a lot more when it's not a confirmed new Pokemon or a confirmed mechanic and it's all speculation, because then people can throw their hand in and be like, oh, I think this is what Game Freak is going to do with this, or I believe that this is what's going to happen. And so the leaks from the Riddler especially, to me they are too calculated to just be some random dude that has no real affiliation to Game Freak and just has insider knowledge without their approval. Like, it just seems weird because they're helping the games a lot, at least prior to their release. You actually could make a similar argument for the newest leaks that we've gotten, because while yes, some of them do just tell us, hey, this is what's happening, they are, first of all, usually accompanied by some kind of very out of focus image or maybe cropped image that doesn't really show you everything. It just gets your mind wondering, oh, is that what they're gonna do? Or, ooh, maybe that's what they want. And again, they're building up hype. And it just makes sense to me that as the games get closer, in order to keep building on that, they need to reveal a bit more concrete information and not just, oh, this Pokemon might or might not end up being this combination if you can decipher my code. And really, this is the first/second reason, depending on whether or not you wanted to count the difference between these leaks and past leaks as a reason. Because, to me, what is the goal of any media company, right, that's about to sell a product prior to that product's release? Well, the goal is to get that product as much spotlight as possible. They want it to gather attention. They want to get more people excited about it so that when it does release, when it finally drops, you're going to have as many people as possible flocking to the stores to get it. And again, these leaks are just tailor-made for that. There's another reason that really corroborates this theory, and you could say it's a bit more abstract, but I think it holds true just the same. And what I'm talking about is that think back to when we had any kind of actual leaks for the games, right? Even Legends Arceus, when they leaked all of the different Pokemon, and we got the images for the Hisuian starters, and the new legendary forms, and the new legendary for like the genies, Game Freak jumped on just shutting all of that down. Like, within the first couple hours of those leaks going online, it was already almost impossible to find every single picture. I remember because I was making a video and then I'm like, wow, some of them are already gone. I have to go scour the deepest corners of like Pokemon fandom just to see a really crappy quality version of this leak because it's not there anymore. And isn't it weird? Isn't it just a little bizarre that when we have all of these leaks, even months prior to the games, Game Freak just doesn't care? Really? Like, they're just, oh, well, these leaks are coming out. What can you do? Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just give up. No, I mean, that's ridiculous. Seriously. If Game Freak didn't want these leaks to be online, they would not stay online for very long. Now, of course, with how the internet works, people would still have access to them one way or another. Someone would have taken a picture of them, someone would have saved them, obviously. But they wouldn't just be circulating so freely everywhere. You wouldn't see them on Twitter timelines like they were nothing, on different Reddit posts, and just all of this stuff without Game Freak stepping in and trying to at least limit the number of people that see this. And that's not what's happening here. Like, I firmly believe that if Game Freak really did want to shut all of this down, while they could never do it completely, they would be able to limit it a lot more. And also think about it. Both the Riddler and this new leaker have had so many posts for stuff relating to the new games. Are you really telling me that Game Freak wouldn't try to get their accounts shut down if they really cared about this and didn't want it to happen? Or that they wouldn't try to, in some way, limit the reach that they have? Or just, they wouldn't try something? Anything? That seems very unlikely to me when you compare it again to their previous behavior with any leaks that were coming out, again, I think before Legends Arceus, is a good kind of gauge, right? Because right around Legends Arceus and the transition between Sword and Shield and that game, with also Brilliant Diamond Shine Pearl being included, of course, that's when we started getting the Riddler, that's when we started having some of these more cryptic kind of leaks that would turn out to be true, but, you know, they weren't just telling us everything or just showing us the full picture in like HD quality. And to me, that just points to the fact that we're entering a new era of marketing for Pokemon. I mean, when you think about it, it makes sense. Social media is an incredibly powerful tool if you know how to use it. And so why wouldn't Game Freak try to take advantage of this by creating more hype for their upcoming games through the release of these types of leaks? And here's the final thing. We used to get a lot more trailers, like a lot more trailers back in the day for the upcoming Pokemon games. If you go look at my video where I tried to predict all of the Scarlet and Violet trailers, you will see that Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon had a ludicrous amount of trailers when compared to any of the following main series Pokemon games. Like seriously, they were insane. There was a trailer every 2 weeks. It was ridiculous. They would reveal anything and everything that they thought could create hype. And you're telling me that now, all of a sudden, Game Freak is like, yeah, we'll do like a trailer every 2 months, maybe. I mean, yeah, you know, like if we have to, I guess, it could maybe generate some more hype. No, they're not dumb. Again, this is the most successful franchise ever. They know how to do marketing. They're not dumb. They know that if they don't do anything for the new games for like 2, 3, 4 months, or even just a month really, the hype around them will start to die down. Now, of course, it will get back up when new information does get revealed, and you don't want to saturate the market too much by revealing everything all the time, because then people are not going to care. But having such a long hiatus where there's nothing at all, that's not good for the games. It's not. And Game Freak knows this. Before we end, I do want to make 2 points. One is that, again, this is just a theory. I could be completely crazy when it comes to this. Wouldn't surprise me, honestly. And there's actually nothing behind this. It's just 2 people that somehow have all of this information, and Game Freak really doesn't seem to want to stop them because maybe accidentally they found out that it works and so they're okay with doing this. It is possible, right? Or they just, for whatever reason, can't stop this information. But again, I think that's unlikely. So if anything, it would just be that they're realizing that this works and so they're just letting these people do what they want. The other point I want to make is that even if we do find out at some point in the distant future that this was indeed the case for one of them, probably the Riddler, it wouldn't necessarily imply that the other one is also in the same boat. But I do think that there's enough similarities and both of them just seem to have so much knowledge that I would be more inclined to believe they were both working for Game Freak here and not just one of them. Even though, again, if I had to pick one, I would probably say the Riddler because I think, I could be wrong, but I think that the style of leaks that he has, where they're very thought-provoking, serves them better in the long term. But at the same time, I do think that those leaks can only take you so far. So again, I do believe that both of them would be involved, if anything, but it doesn't have to be the case. Anyway, enough conspiracy theories for today. This was just something I needed to talk about because I really do think there could be something there. And if there isn't, I had fun making the video and I hope you had fun watching it. Regardless, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And if you want to see more Pokemon content, then I do recommend subscribing. And I hope to see you all in the next video. But until then, remember to follow the way of the Ace. See ya!